Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
On this day, Wednesday, January 11th, 2012, at 4 p.m., the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Chicago Park District is being held in the 8th floor boardroom of the Administration Building at 541 North Fairbanks Court, Chicago, Illinois. Will the Secretary take a roll call of the Commissioners?
Commissioner Shalaby?
Here.
Commissioner Koldyke? Commissioner Hanlon?
Here.
Commissioner Lavelle? Commissioner Salgado?
Here.
President Traubert?
Here.
Quorum is present. Let the record reflect that General Superintendent Michael Kelly and General Counsel Maria Garcia are also in attendance.
This meeting will please come to order. Item number 1, certificate of filing of the 2012 appropriation ordinance of the Chicago Park District with the Clerk of Cook County. This will be marked as received and filed by the Secretary. Item number 2, certificate of filing of the 2012 appropriation ordinance of the Chicago Park District with the Clerk of DuPage County. This will be marked as received and filed by the Secretary. Item number 3, approval of the minutes from the public hearing held on December 7th, 2011, and the regular board meeting held on Wednesday, December 14th, 2011. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Will the Secretary take a roll call for the adoption of the matter?
Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
Commissioner Hanlon?
Aye.
Commissioner Salgado?
Aye.
President Traubert?
Aye.
Motion carried and the report is adopted.
Under presentations from the departments, there is nothing to present. Next on the agenda is people in the parks. Will the Secretary please call the names of those who have signed up to speak?
We have 3 speakers for this afternoon. Mr. George Blakemore, Mr. Tony Aniquez, and Mr. Hanif Shakir. May I please remind the speakers that you have 2 minutes to make your presentation. Mr. Aniquez, you may address the board.
Happy New Year to everybody. And I'm going to take Roger's 2 minutes. I'm here today just to address the board. The old phrase was the buck stops here, and I'm just coming in to follow through. President Traubert's words, when everything is done, the words were follow through, and that's what I'm trying to do today. We happen to have $175,000 for a playground and $105,000 for beach paths that would be ADA compliable. It would be right up Larry Libiek's alley. $35,000 was set aside for each path, one at Morse, one at Jarvis, and one at Leon. And what I'm trying to find out today is, where are we from here? The buck stops here. I mean, everything flows right to the board. You know, so I don't know where we're at. I'd like to have some answers, you know, as to what's going on. I know the $175,000 for the playground is low. We're trying to get more money. Hopefully, if we can get it on the voting in Joe's ward, maybe we'll be able to do something more. Other than that, I don't have too much to do. You know. And I also would like to thank Bob Foster and Mr. Gay for coming to our Parks and Environment Committee meeting. It was very fruitful, but that's about it.
Pat, do you guys know?
We've been working with Mr. Nicholas. Yeah, he's confident together some money, and for next year we think we have some great hope to work with.
So you hope you have 175,000. That's what you're right.
Right, but I'd like to get the beach paths on the agenda. We have $105,000 for the beach paths. $35,000.
We have a letter from Joe Moore.
Yes.
Okay, so the buck can stop here. 175 and 105. Do we have a letter from Alderman Moore committing those menu dollars?
Which is a problem that Mr. Nicholas runs into, and I think we should explain.
Come to the mic,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. Well, what Joe Moore?
Hold on.
Okay.
Let Tim speak, if you don't mind.
Mr. Nicholas, and we commend his diligence. He's been working with us for quite some time. We've been trying to coach him. Unfortunately, he's up against in the 49th Ward the one alderman who has transformed his menu process. Every alderman gets $1.3 million in menu money for our board members who aren't familiar with this issue. Alderman Joe Moore is the one out of 50 who's decided to put that to a community process. The community got together in the 49th Ward, and two of the recommendations that they made to the Joe Moore committee was to delegate $175,000 for a new playground at Toohey Park and $105,000 for 3 beach ADA standard beach path accessible walkways along the lakefront. The problem with both of those allocations are they're not enough money to get the projects moving forward at this time. So we suggested to Mr. Inequas many months ago that he go back before the committee and say, hey, folks, let's pick, because if we can consolidate these 2 allocations, we can get one of these projects done this year. Unfortunately, the committee denied Mr. Inequas' request. So now we're at the point where I think for next year, because menu money can be carried over in an alderman's term, I have suggested that Mr. Inequas for next year try to get more money out of the committee on top of these 2 things, and we can definitely incorporate them in the 2013 capital plan.
That,
All right.
do you agree with that?
Okay, now,
So it's $280,000 total from the alderman's menu,
right, $280,000.
allocated 2 different projects.
Right, to 2 different projects. Now, the one project that we're trying to go ahead with is the beach pass. When I spoke with Gia, her department came up, the architect came out, and she expressed that it would cost probably $42,000. This is a rough estimate now. It could be lower, it could be higher for one of the beach paths. The other one came in at 48 or 50,000. But what I figure is the ADA has a capital improvement plan, and if we put up 35,000 and the path comes up at a rough estimate at 42,000, I can't see why the park district can't pitch in $7,000.
Rather than me negotiate the final price
I know,
right here,
I know.
you'll have an answer tomorrow, and I will copy the board on the answer to
Okay.
Mr.
And if-
Inequas' 2 requests.
And
Fair
if,
enough.
Great, no, thank you. And I think, yeah, Mike, just as long as the
Yep.
staff is available.
Yep.
Yeah.
This isn't a negotiation that should
No,
occur
no, it
here,
isn't. It isn't.
but we want to be responsive, and it sounds like you're going to be responsive.
all right, so
Thanks.
if you can send your reply also to the alderman's office, I would appreciate it, because I want to keep them in the realm. All right? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony.
Next speaker?
Mr. Blakemore?
Oh, yes, sir.
Good afternoon to the staff, the superintendent, and the chairman of this board. I was looking up here and I was wondering if you had a quorum. I don't know. I think it's 8 or 9 people on the board. Anyway, it's very important that board members attend these meetings because we need their input, and they have chosen to be appointed to this board. So sometimes too many absentee is unacceptable to the public. However, this afternoon they're having a public meeting dealing with redistricting, and you're saying, Mr. Blakemore, you had a park district meeting, and you're talking about redistricting of dealing with the aldermen in the city. Well, this gentleman just got through speaking on the issue that he wanted some of the money from the aldermen. So some of these parks and these park councils for years and years have been in one ward. Now they will be in another ward with a new alderman. So that is a challenge for this board. So I'm asking citizens to be present there because it will be an effect on the operation of these parks with their relation with the aldermen and the people in the community. The next issue, very briefly, for the young lady, say, Mr. Blakemore, your 2 minutes is up, that I'm going to beat this drum a while, and over and over and over again. I advocate a referendum that's coming up in March and in the November election
Please
that
make your closing remarks,
that
Mr.
they
Blakemore.
have, Mr. Please, that they have a referendum saying that we have in the city of Chicago an elected park district board. Most of the major cities in Illinois, I guess somebody say all of them, Rockford, all those cities, they all have an elected park district board, and we need one here in Chicago that's accountable directly to the constituents. So
You have
again,
exceeded your 2 minutes, Mr. Blakemore.
Mr. Blakemore is asking you to attend these meetings dealing with redistrict. One is at DePaul. Tomorrow going to be one on the south side throughout the city, because it will have an effect on the operation of the park district. Thank you all, and all of you have a peaceful and blessed day. And we need an elected park district board.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Blakemore.
you, Mr. Blakemore. And you believe it or not, a lot of people, when they listen and look at you on the internet, they do thank Mr. Blakemore, and thank you too. And have a peaceful and blessed day.
Mr. Shakir.
Good afternoon, board. Mr. Kelly, a belated congratulations from the Kensington Park Advisory Board. I just found out that we are getting the things that we requested from the meeting that we had in October. Thank you. But there's one concern that we would address to the board and also to you, and this is Kids Off the Block with Diane Lederker's group, forming a partnership with the Chicago Park District. We can be led in the right direction with the program department. We would really appreciate the advice you can give us.
So, was there a question? I didn't quite understand. Ask the question again.
All right, this is Diane Lederker's.
You're right, from Kids Off the Block, right.
We'll form a partnership with the Chicago Park District. With the field house, we're expecting to open in mid-April, May. She would run the programs out of the park. Or would like to run the programs out of the
Fair
park.
enough. We'll have to talk more about that. I'm not saying no. I need more information. We need to discuss it. As you and I both know, when did you first come to the board? Back in
October.
October. And we were out there the next day.
Correct.
And we got a lot of work to do, right?
Yes.
We got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
But I'm optimistic. I know you guys are.
Yes.
So let's you and my team talk separately about where we're going. We're going to go from here. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
We'll pick a decent day. The weather's still nice. We'll pick a day out there. We'll meet out there and talk.
Right, this is one of Diane's assistants from Kids Off the Block, and we all will meet with you afterwards.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
You too. We appreciate it. Thanks for all
Yep.
the process.
Yep. Got a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for caring.
Thank you for your help.
That concludes our speakers.
Next on the agenda is the report from the Committee on Administration. Commissioner Hanlon.
The Committee on Administration met on January 11, 2012 to consider matters deferred from December 14th to January 11, 2012, and hereby recommend that its report be adopted. Item number 1, authorization to enter into a contract for electronic live scan fingerprint services. And that concludes the report on Committee for Administration. I move for its adoption.
Second?
If there's no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the matter is adopted.
Next on the agenda is a report from the Committee on Programs and Recreation. Commissioner Shelby.
The Committee on Programs and Recreation met on January 11, 2012 to consider matters referred from December 14th to January 11, 2012, and hereby recommends that its report be adopted. Item number 1, request to initiate 45-day notice period to name Park 532 as Hattie K. Williams Park. Item number 2, request to name Park 554 as Julia DeBurgos Park. Item number 3, request to name Thomas Wortham IV Playground and Nat King Cole Park. That concludes the report of the Committee on Programs and Recreation, and I move for its adoption.
Second.
If there is no objection, we will apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the report is adopted.
Next on the agenda is a report from the Committee on Capital Improvements. Commissioner Salgado.
Committee on Capital Improvements met on January 11, 2012 to discuss matters referred from December 14th to January 11, 2012 and hereby recommends that its report be adopted. Item number 1, authority to accept the transfer of property located at 2754 to 2860 South Eleanor Street for a new park, park number 571. Item number 2, authority to enter into contracts for design and engineering services. Item number 3, authorization to issue final payment for work completed in connection with Sheridan Park artificial turf. That concludes the report of the Committee on Capital Improvements, and I move for its adoption.
Second.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the report is adopted.
Next on the agenda is a report from the Committee of the Whole. The Committee of the Whole met this morning to review executive session minutes as is required by the Code of the Chicago Park District, Chapter 2, Section A, subsection 16F. The committee hereby submits this report and recommends that it be adopted. The Board of Commissioners, per the Code of the Chicago Park District, Chapter 2, Section A, subsection 16D, approved the destruction of verbatim records for May 13th, 2009. The Board of Commissioners, per the Code of the Chicago Park District, Chapter 2, Section A, subsection 16F2, approved the release of the following executive session minutes for public inspection: June 8th, 2011, July 11th, 2011, October 12th, 2011. That concludes the report of the Committee of the Whole, and I move for its adoption.
Second.
If no objection, we'll apply the last favorable roll call vote from the prior matter to this matter.
Motion carried and the report is adopted.
Under unfinished business, nothing was presented for consideration. Under new business, nothing was presented for consideration. That concludes the board meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The board meeting is now adjourned.